Hello, and welcome to episode number 41 of the TMC podcast, where we are here to help you take your relationship
From
from surviving
surviving
to
to
thriving.
Today on TMC, we will be discussing the comparison trap in relationships.
So, babe, we were talking and we were discussing what we wanted to talk about with our TMC listeners, and we talked about the comparison trap.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how easy it is for us to tip over or to get pulled into the comparison trap because we're looking at what someone else has or what it appears that someone else have, and all of a sudden we're not satisfied with what we have, or we feel like we're missing out on something. And this happens right in our homes and in our neighborhoods and in our churches and on our job. We begin to look at someone else's life or someone else's relationship and what we believe they have or what it appears that they have. And all of a sudden, what we have is no longer satisfactory. What we have is no longer fulfilling.
Yeah. Theodore Roosevelt said that comparison is the thief of joy. And I think we really have to understand that there's a big difference between comparison and being inspired by somebody else's life and circumstance.
Absolutely.
Oftentimes, we can't celebrate and love the season we're in because we're focused on somebody else's season,
Mhm.
and their season may be what it is because they are seasoned.
Mm.
And there's some things we want to talk about on today, avoiding the comparison trap altogether, and some things that you can do and implement in your life that can really help you and lead you to a road of avoiding the comparison trap.
The comparison trap, comparing your relationship to someone else's relationship, comparing your life and what you have or what you don't have to someone else's haves or don't haves, looking at what someone else possesses or looking at what someone else's life appears to be, and then comparing it to what you believe your life lack or doesn't have. And babe, also I think that these things will also help us if we've already fallen into the comparison trap.
Mm.
They'll help us come out of it quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's some things, even in our life when we find ourselves getting caught up in the comparison trap, there's a thin line between comparison and
And
inspiration.
inspiration.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of times we're looking at a snippet of someone else's life. We were talking about it, and you're talking about social media. We talk about this all the time. Being in that we live in such a world where everything is in the palm of our hands. You got Facebook, you have Twitter, you have Instagram, you have Pinterest, you have all these groups and things that we are connected with, and we are seeing a fragment of someone else's life, a fragment of someone else's situation. You're seeing a piece of what they have crafted and manipulated and shaped, and pictures are taken multiple times, and things are set up to look a certain way. And then you find yourself looking at that person, that one little snapshot that took them 30 minutes to set up. You're looking at it and now you feel like you're missing something. That vacation that someone is on, and you don't know how long it took them to save to get there.
Right.
You don't know how many things that they went without to get there. You don't know what they're
Um,
facing when they come back, whether they have the financial freedom to do it or whether they went in debt to
Absolutely.
do it. You don't know that, but you're looking at it and you're like, wow, why can't I have that? Because the only thing I think about is with comparison, you're looking at what someone else possesses or what you believe they possess that you don't. You're looking at something that you believe they have that you don't. You're looking at a status that you believe that they have acquired that you haven't. And when you look at it that way, you can't, all you can see is what you believe that you don't have. So everything that you do have diminishes, and you can't see that you are in a good place. You may not be where you want to be, but you're in a good place. You can't see that you have togetherness in your relationship and you have love in your relationship because you're looking at a glimpse of what someone else is showing you that's a part of theirs. And I think that's a detriment to relationships because a lot of times we get so focused on what someone else's relationship looks like, what's going on in their relationship, and we don't say that, but
Mm,
it's in the back of our minds
yeah,
and it's guiding us because they have a new car. Now I want a new car. They have a bigger house. So now my house is not good enough.
yeah,
I'm finally able to pay my bills in my apartment on time. But then this person buys a 3 bedroom home and now my apartment is not good enough anymore. I make,
it's crazy.
I have a job making $15 an hour and now they got a job making $25 an hour.
Yeah,
So my $15 an hour job that I was happy
it
for
don't mean
just a
anything.
few weeks ago, now it means nothing. And
Yeah,
when we think about that, I agree with Theodore Roosevelt. Comparison robs us of our joy because it causes us to lose sight of the process that we're in.
yeah.
It causes us to lose sight of the season that we're in because we're so focused on what's going on with someone else.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that. You said sight, and I think sight is very important because what happens is when you compare yourself to someone else, you really you lose the vision you have for your own life. I mean, think
Exactly.
about this: you have a vision for your life, and
Hmm.
now you compare yourself to somebody else, and now the vision that you have for your life is not even the vision anymore.
Exactly.
So that vision has become your vision. So now you're put in a position where you lose all creativity.
Hmm.
I mean, you can't. You're powerless.
Hmm.
I mean, you're hopeless. I mean, just really think about the things that it does to you. I mean, it's so draining and so taxing. Destiny is calling for a lot of us. I mean, our marriages to go to that next level. But
Yes.
instead of taking our marriage to that next level and working on ourselves, we're focusing, spending so much time watching everybody else. And there's a quote that says, every minute you spend wishing is every minute you spend wasting.
Hmm.
Every minute you spend wishing you had somebody else's life
Hmm.
is every minute that you spend wasting your own
All right.
life. And
Wow.
we have to come to a place in our life when we say, you know what? I am tired of focusing on everybody else. I need to focus on my own life. We compare our bodies to magazines.
Hmm.
We compare our bodies to movie stars. We compare ourselves to all kind of people, and it's really hurting us, and it's just taking the power away for us making things happen and us getting things done.
When we're in regards to relationship, because that's what we're talking about on TMC, right? So when you enter into a relationship,
Yeah,
you enter into a marriage, you have an idea of what it's going to be like, and you and your significant other may be working towards that. Maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you're still working out some kinks. Maybe some things are still being straightened out, but you're working on it. And we're not talking about looking at someone else and using that as an example to do better or using that as inspiration. There's nothing wrong with looking at what someone else has and saying, "Hey, I'm going to connect with them to get better, to learn more about myself." We're talking about when you look at someone and then whatever they possess, whatever they have, or what you believe they possess or have now makes you feel like what you have is not good enough. Now makes you feel like what you have is nothing. Now makes you feel like what you have should be more like what they have,
yeah,
and not just looking at it from inspiration, because there's plenty of people in this world that we can look at for inspiration to be better. Oh, to read more, for us to working on our relationship to be a stronger couple, working on being better communicators, working on being honest with each other,
yeah,
working on supporting each other. Oh, they support each other well, and that's something that I
yeah,
want to work on. There's nothing wrong with that. Not looking at someone else's situation or their life to make you better. It's when it is that thing that Theodore Roosevelt is talking about, that thief that's robbing you of your joy. When you talked about vision, I just saw, like we have this picture of what our lives is going to be, whatever our marriage is going to be. And then when you see the picture of someone else's life and their marriage or their relationship, now yours has holes in it. And it's like that fire that burns through paper. The hole is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can't see your vision anymore, but all you can see is their vision. And now you see, those pictures where they have the other person's body, but it's got your head on it.
mhm,
That's what becomes when it's a comparison thing. You are now cutting their head out the picture and putting your head there. The other part that I think of is that sometimes the vision you have for their life is what you created because you saw this little
Hmm.
snippet of something that they showed
Wow.
you and you manufactured the rest of it.
Wow.
And that wasn't something they told you. That was something that you created because you saw it.
Mm.
Like when we were teenagers, we were kids, you would think if a person had a new car, oh, they have money. So you manufactured that part about them because you
Mm.
saw something that they possess
Wow.
or something that it looked like they possess. And sometimes that's the way it is for us because we live in a social society. People put everything on the internet. There's so many apps for us to stay connected and to share everything that we share so much and we see so much of what others share.
Not everything.
Well, I mean, not everything,
They
but
share what they want you to see.
okay,
Yeah.
exactly.
Because I mean, there are people that really have it.
Yes, they
That,
do.
that there
Yes,
are
they
people
do.
that really have it, and that's that point. It's still you don't compare yourself to them,
Mhm.
but you could be inspired by somebody else.
Inspired, yes.
And one of the things I recommend if you admire someone and what they're doing, you admire someone marriage, or you admire someone finance, or you admire someone business,
Yes,
or the way they live.
yes.
I mean, instead of comparing yourself to them, why don't you have a conversation with them? Have
Mhm.
a conversation.
Mhm.
Ask them, can they mentor you? Ask them, can they mentor your relationship? And to be honest, I mean, I really at that point of time, I think instead of going on social media, just kind of comparing yourself from a distance, when you begin to be mentored by them, I mean, you understand. It's like, okay, is this
It is more
it?
to it than
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because the photo could be real. The
Yeah.
photo could be real because, and what you just said, the photo could be real and it could be a real part of their lives that they are sharing with their family, their friends, or whoever they are connected to. And that is true. That is possible. Sometimes we can look at a person and everything that they're posting is real. They really are in love with each other.
No.
They really are. They really have their finances together. They really can go on these trips, but you only saw that. You missed all the work that they put in. You
Yes.
missed all the time when they were grinding. You
Yeah.
missed all the time when they fought through not knowing. And the reason why I say that, because I think about us a lot of times, even if it is real what you are seeing displayed on social media from another couple or another relationship, you don't know what was put in for them to get there. And sometimes we want things that we see, but are we willing to do the work that it took to get there? Because that's what we're talking about today. You're maybe looking at something and you're comparing it to where you are in the season and time in your life, and you may can get there, but it's going to take some more work. It's going to take some more effort. It's going to take some more time. And so when you look at the couple that's taking these amazing trips, that's holding hands, that's doing the photo shoots, everyone is not pretending. There are a lot that may be, but everybody is not pretending. But even though those that are living their best life, it took some work for them to get there.
I want to have some practical takeaways in this podcast. We're
Mhm.
talking about this podcast is so important, why it's dear to my heart, is because even myself, I oftentimes get caught up in the comparison
Oh
trap.
yeah,
Easy thing to do.
it
It's
is.
so easy to go into this comparison trap. And one of the things I've done is like when I'm on, like, for example, social media or whatever, and if I find myself getting caught up in this social media trap and this comparison trap, and I feel myself feeling some kind of way, that's my cue to, man, you need to step
Pull
back.
away from it.
You need to
Hmm.
step back. Why? Because I don't want it to rob my
Hmm.
vision. I don't want it to rob my journey.
Hmm.
I don't want to get caught off path, my journey of what God has for my life, focusing on what he's done for somebody else in their life. I want to focus on that aspect of it. And, so sometimes it's best to just pull away. Sometimes you need to fast from social media. Sometimes you just need to take a break, decompress, go sit and do nothing, just, get your head together, reconfine and reconfigure and rewrite your vision and make it plain, and don't let anything stop it. Don't let any view stop you from your vision. It's like, this is where I'm trying to get. So in your life, you have to make a decision. You say, you know what? I'm not going to be distracted any longer, because distraction, all it does is it sends you back.
Backwards.
It
Mm-hmm.
sends you
Mm-hmm.
back instead of sending you forward.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing with comparison is, sometimes you just got to pull away.
Talking about how easy it is. And I think that's one thing that for us to talk about on TMC, because that's the only reason why we're able to talk about it and we start talking about it even in private is because we know that
It's
it's so easy to fall into it.
comparison is real.
How can you know that it's easy to fall into it?
Yeah.
Because we've done it, because I've done it. Because I remember a time when I was on we when we first moved into our home, I was on Instagram and Pinterest, and it's like everything, like, oh, their house is immaculate, and why my house don't look like that? Why your shoes in the floor? And you don't even realize it that you slipped into that
Yeah.
until you start to think. And I remember that after some time, everything that I just said is what I had to say to myself. This person, that's what their Instagram is about. It's about their home.
Yeah.
So their house is always clean. Their house, the part they're showing us is always clean, because occasionally they will show you the part where it's all the stuff in the corner and all that. So those are the things that would snatch me out and be like, hey, you tripping, because you're looking at this and you're thinking that, oh, why can't my house stay clean like
Right.
that? Or why can't I do? And this person is retired and it's just them and their husband, and you got three little kids running around, or you have teenagers in the house, or whatever
You
it
can't
is.
compare.
And but
You
that's
can't
and
compare.
that's why we can talk about comparison being the thief of your joy, comparison and what it can do to your relationship. Because I remember when we first moved into our home having a conversation with you, like, you got to keep your stuff over here because I'm trying to do this. And everything was so much trying to be like what was on Instagram.
Hmm.
Now, that I'm not trying to be like someone else's relationship, but in essence, I am trying to be like someone else's relationship, because I'm trying to
Yeah.
be what I see on Instagram.
Yeah,
Their
like
house.
originally, you're happy with carpet floors, and now you
Now, yeah, like, no, I see, no, somebody get tile. We gotta get some tile up
yeah,
in here. We gotta
yeah,
get some tile up in here. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very, very much easy
Yeah.
to do
And
it.
that's it's something like I said, it's something we all do. And just really, again, bringing up the awareness, this is something we have to really focus on, because it would take you down a whole nother road. It would take you into debt. I mean, it will lead you into places that you never thought you would be. I mean, imagine trying to pay off your bills. I mean, you almost got it paid off. I mean, now you're saving money. You got $1,000 sitting in the bank account, and now here it is. You done seen something on social media, and now you're about to get right back into debt. We have to really be
Yeah,
careful. And this is
absolutely.
the thing, another thing, comparing yourself even in our relationship, your marriage. Your marriage was at one point, and now you've been working on your marriage, and now it's better. But
Uh-huh.
then you see something on social media,
Exactly. And now it's not
and
better, it's not good enough.
now better is not good enough.
Better
Now,
is not good
now
enough.
you're going backwards
Backwards.
again. You're
Mm-hmm.
going backwards in your
Yeah.
mind, and now you tend to destroy your relationship all over
Mm-hmm.
again, because now you're not happy with where you are. And I just encourage, I mean, be happy, be excited about the journey. The journey is so beautiful.
Beautiful. The
Live,
process.
live
Yeah.
the process,
Mm-hmm.
live the moment, and just enjoy it. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. So the first thing you said was to pull away. And so the next thing that we can do would be what?
Next thing we should do is perhaps maybe get a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Get a mentor in
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah. I,
I
I
mean, because
agree.
it's like, why you
That's
want to
good.
try to do life by
By
yourself?
your
If you're trying to strengthen your marriage, why are you trying to do marriage by yourself? Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody with experience that has been down the road that you're going down, and it will make less problem, less frustration for you. So you have marriage, or if you're an entrepreneur starting a business, talk to somebody. Get with
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
somebody.
mm-hmm.
Get with a mentor that can help you with your business again, so you won't make the same mistakes that they took years on getting past these mistakes. Because if you find a mentor, it can literally shorten 10 plus years of your life. 10 years of mistakes can be
Mm-hmm.
shut down just like that, just from getting a mentor. Mentoring and coaching is very, very important.
And then when you say that, I think about mentoring and coaching. When you're in comparison and you have a mentor and you have a coach. When you're when you find yourself falling into the comparison trap, if you have a mentor and a coach, they're going to ask you those tough questions. They're going to ask you some questions to get you thinking about why you feel this way about your relationship now, or why you feel this way about your job now, why you feel this way about your car now.
Yeah.
You felt like you and your husband were in a good place 2 weeks ago. So why do you feel different now? You felt like you and your wife were in a good place a month ago. So why are you in a different place?
Yeah.
Or last week when we met, you said things were better and you gave me a list of things that were getting better in your relationship. Now today you're saying that this is falling apart and nothing is working. Why? And they're going to ask you those questions. Or even if it's a good friend, they're going to ask you those questions and talk about those things that's going to let you know that you have fallen into comparison. If you're being honest with yourself,
Mm.
I saw what someone else was doing, or I saw what someone else had, and then I started thinking, and that's why I feel this way. Or, my friend said that her husband was doing this, and I started thinking my husband not doing that. Or my friend said his wife does this, and I start thinking my wife doesn't do that. Whatever it is, when you have a mentor or a coach and you're talking, you got to be honest with them, and you're being transparent and honest with them. They can help you walk through and talk through that, because that makes that comparison thing short lived, and it snatches you back out of that for you to enjoy your process
Wow.
and say, yeah, my relationship is getting better. My wife may not do that, but she's better than we were before. My husband may not do what her husband do, but my we are better than we were before. Our marriage may be different than theirs, but we are good, or we're getting better. And if we are not, then we are actively working to get there.
Yeah.
So we're seeing it in a different light. It's shifting our perspective. And a mentor and a coach will do that for
Yeah, absolutely. And it happens, it just slip up on you. You can't see it when you're in
you.
it.
Mhm.
But somebody from an outside perspective, can see where you're going wrong and can help you get back on the right path. I mean, coaching is very great. I mean, even the greatest basketball, football, baseball players, they have coaches
Yeah.
because, they're trying to get better.
Absolutely, absolutely. The third, I would say, a gratitude journal. Because if you start to a gratitude, you start to make a list of the things that you have in your life that you are grateful for. You start to shift that perspective to look at the positive things that are in your life. And I'm not talking about a whole book, just a list. If you look back on where our relationship was and where it is now, it'll help you have gratitude and grace for the person to know that things are getting better. If you look back on your finances, if you're working on your finances to be able to take that vacation, to be able to do that couples trip, whatever it is, you once before you saw that, we weren't saving anything. Now we have $1,000 in the savings account. So you can be write down the things that you are
That's
thankful
good.
for, the positive things in your life, the
Yeah.
positive things that you have. If you're looking at someone's house, someone's car, whatever your list may be, I have a husband that's working hard. I have a wife that supports me. I have children, that I love. I have whatever it may be. Your list may not be physical things, but it's the things that you're grateful for, the things that bring joy into your life. And when you can take a look at the things that bring joy into your life, that keeps you from comparing your life and looking at the things that you don't have. It keeps you from allowing what you have not obtained yet, or where you are not yet there, where you have not arrived yet, or what you have not obtained. It keeps you from seeing that as something that you're missing. And
Mm.
better yet, you see it as something that you're working towards. You're working to get there. We live in an apartment now, but we're working towards the house.
Yeah.
We may not, get along great right now, but we're better than we were. We don't have the perfect communication, or we don't always properly communicate, but we
Yeah.
communicate better than we did 3 months ago. So when you look at the things that are positive in your life, the things that you are happy about, the things that you are grateful for in your relationship, what are the things
Mm.
that you're happy about? What are the things that are
Yeah.
positive? What are the things that you're grateful for? And when you have that thing, you can always, when you have that written down on a piece of paper, keep it in the book, you can always go back to look at that. So
Yeah.
when you find yourself drifting into that, comparing yourself to what someone else has versus what I have, or comparing what their relationship looks like versus what ours look like, when you can go back to that tangible list and see the progress that you have made
Yeah.
in your life, in your relationship,
Yeah.
together as a couple, that will help snatch you up out of that comparison thing and take you back into the moment of enjoying the season, the time, and the space that you are in right now.
Right. And I think that's great because one thing that will do it to help you, it will give you feedback.
Mm-hmm.
It will give you feedback and it will just basically, oh, you ever did this when you was a kid? I remember when I was a kid, I used to road trips was horrible. I mean, because as a
But you want
kid,
to
it's
get
like
there.
you want to get there, but you don't know how long it's gonna take
Yeah.
because all the grown folks in the car and say, just be quiet and you just wait. We get there and we get there. And it's like that's like the worst thing ever for a kid, right? And I think if we don't, record it and keep record, that's exactly what we're doing. We don't know. We don't even
Mm-hmm.
know where we are. So I mean, at least it would definitely show you where you are. It would bring you back. We're so focused and so locked in on our
Mm-hmm.
devices.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be really great to go back and get some old school and pull out that pen and a
And
piece of
paper.
paper and start writing down and you pulling yourself. And so instead of looking at Facebook and what's going on in somebody else's life, you can pull out your journal and you can look at your own life and be like, man, you know what? I was here,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah.
We was going through this last year,
Uh-huh.
but look
Yeah,
where we at now.
absolutely.
And it brings you back to the true reality
Mm-hmm.
of your life and not caught up and confined in the matrix.
And another thing is you can do the project as a couple. If you're engaged, if you're dating, if you're married, you can do that as a couple. What sit down together and you get a piece of paper, your significant other get a piece of paper, write down the things that you are enjoying in your relationship, write down the things that bring you joy,
Yeah.
write down the positive, the things that you are grateful about, the
Things that you're
things that
thankful for. Yeah.
exactly, the things you're happy about, the things you're thankful for, the advancement that you have made, the achievements that you have, the things you have accomplished as a couple, the things, the plans that you have. Write down how those things make you feel and do this as a couple so that whenever the rough times presents themselves or whenever you find yourself getting sucked into or you're falling into the comparison trap, then you're able to have something tangible to touch,
Yeah.
to read, to review, and to bring yourself out of. Because there's nothing like, if you think about a to do list, if you look at this to do list and you once had 30 things on this to do list, and you look back at that list and you see that 15 of those things have been accomplished, although half of them are still there, you feel a whole lot better because half of them are done. I'm halfway where I want to be. And that's the same way this gratitude, writing down what you're thankful for in your life and in your relationship would do for you. Even though we may not be there, if we are better, we are thankful for that and we're halfway there.
Yeah. That's good.
It's a thin line between inspiration, being inspired by someone's relationship, being inspired by someone's marriage, being inspired by what someone has, being inspired by someone's business versus comparing yourself. That is that, and I think that's why it's so easy for us to fall into it,
Yeah.
because that line is so
It's a
thin.
thin line.
It's so
Yeah.
thin that it's easy to top over to either way.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is fill ourselves up to the point where we're automatically pushing ourselves to, this inspires me. Like,
Yeah.
they have a great marriage. So you know
It's
what? When I
inspiring.
see that they have a great marriage, that gives me the oomph to believe that I can too.
Yeah.
When I see that they are managing their finances well and they're able to take vacations and trips with their family, that inspires me that I can do it too. And even if I know this person, let me connect with them. Let me
Yeah.
find out, whatever I see, it becomes an inspiration instead of a comparison.
Yeah.
And that the having the gratitude for what you already have in your life, I think would assist in pushing you towards it being an inspiration versus comparison.
Yeah.
And we are always going through a process. In order for our relationship to get better, we have a process
Yes.
because we're two people coming together to create a life, and we have a process to get to where we're trying to go. We have a process to get to our future. We have a process to get to home ownership. We have a process to get to the car. We have a process to get to generational wealth. We have a process to get to owning the business and making the money and all of those things. There's a process to get there. There's not a snap of the finger and it happens. There's not a look at someone else and now I have it too. It's a process. And so when you become grounded in the process that you are in and understand that my season may not be their season, but that's good. That Miami photo looks good on them and I'll be there one day. That good relationship looks good on them and I'll be there one day.
Yeah. So I mean, this is good. This is good. So we just want to encourage each and every one of you. Don't get caught up in the comparison trap. Don't let the thief take your joy.
Thank you for joining us today on TMC. And we hope that this information was helpful to you. And if it was, go ahead and subscribe. Click the subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you will be notified when we upload a video every week. For those that are listening on iTunes, rate the podcast and leave a review. Check out our leadership podcast, Lead to Greatness, where my husband is interviewing entrepreneurs and great leaders every week.
So we want to thank you for joining us today on TMC. Looking forward to hanging out with you again on next week as we continue to help you take your relationship
From surviving to thriving. Bye. See you next week.